All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Off the Press. Super excited uh, to have another show here, and as well to have just a fabulous guest. I love this guy, Terry Power. I don't even remember where we met at first. I'm at some conference, maybe SEO Rockstars. I don't even know.
Maybe might have been rock stars. It was a conference of some kind.
Conference of some sort. I know it. I know it. So Terry is awesome. In case you want to go check Terry out, I'll drop this link to his page in the chat. So go check him out. Um, Let me flash that up for you. So Terry is obviously in Greensboro. He's doing Greensboro SEO. And Terry is so fascinating because he is always cooking up all different kinds of cool little tips and tricks and methods and tactics to do all kinds of great SEO outcomes. And so I was excited. And Terry, and I will say, I reached out to Terry. I think on Saturday, I had kind of all of a sudden an opening. Somebody had to reschedule. I'm like, who could I reach out? That's always kind of fun. I'm like, Terry. I haven't had Terry on the show for a long time. So I'm like, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do this week." I'm like, "Wow, what a dude. What a guy."
Well, I had a presentation to give yesterday to a business group, but you caught me on Saturday before the game. Go Bucks! Um, so I was just at my computer doing some looking at some test results. Because
Yeah, that worked. It worked out. I forgot that you're an Ohio boy. So of course that's where I am. I think you grew up where outside of Dayton, is that right or no?
Columbus.
Oh, in Columbus. All right. All right. Yeah. Do you know Patrick Shannon by chance?
Yeah,
Yeah. Patrick's also a Buckeye. He grew up outside of Dayton or in Dayton or around in that area right there. But
yeah.
so anyway,
We've talked before about our Ohio roots.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, good to see. All right. Good morning to the Salterra boys and the Samuels family. So
Hey, Terry,
um
Elizabeth, all of you.
yeah, there we go. All right. So, folks, hey, by the way, if you have any questions, comments, whatever you want to throw at us, drop them in the chat, in the messages. We'll get to them as they pop up. And as always, hey, like, follow, subscribe, and just catch all of our shows. So, Terry, what have you been up to since the last we've talked? I don't even remember the last time I saw you. Maybe was I'm sure at some conference somewhere, but
Maybe spring training last year. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but at any rate, still playing with AI, finding it fascinating. Still doing SEO, a few clients, a lot of affiliate stuff, but AI has just made stuff more interesting. And there's some fabulous tools out there. I'll admit I haven't touched ChatGPT probably this year because there's so many better tools for specific things.
Okay,
Um,
hold on, hold on. I gotta hit you up on that because people, are like rabid about ChatGPT. I I'm interested. I don't even want to put in any. I want to get your opinion first. So when you say you haven't touched it because there's so many other interesting tools, like what?
Microsoft Copilot, which
Really? I've never used it.
is an AI that is native now to if you've got Microsoft 365,
Yeah,
Microsoft Office, you can use it in Excel to create formulas for you or to say to it, because it's not just for formulas, you can create PowerPoints in Microsoft PowerPoint,
right.
Microsoft Word, all it works in all those stuff. But you can say to it, here's a spreadsheet. Uh, And what I'd like to do is take stuff from sheet two, column A, and
Right.
add it over to here and create. Can you make a, and it'll do it for you. So you don't need to be an Excel wizard anymore. You have
Right.
fantastic combinations. Or like I use the SEO tool Cora, and one of the outputs of it is Excel files, and I can take them and say, note this stuff with these entities. See these questions that are in the top 100. Can you reword those questions for me, including these entities, this LSI from over here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so Copilot, I love to use for that kind of things, and I use it for creating prompts that I want to use in Gemini or Perplexity.
That is interesting. I do have to tell you, I have never used Copilot. I've at all ever. I'm not a I'm not a Microsoft 365. I mean, I have it because I have to, I get files that are in Excel, and so I've got to access it. But I don't typically operate in that environment, and so I never. And I think this is playing on a Windows machine, but I've never launched Copilot on this thing and done anything on it. So I really couldn't even speak to as a LLM as a platform, how does it perform on various kinds of tasks? So I could understand using it in natively in tools like Excel. I could see the benefit of that, definitely.
It also works as a generative AI if you just want to have it write
Oh
things
yeah,
for
yeah.
you. And it will, if you say, I want to write a LinkedIn post about X, I'm going to be doing this next week and I want to, it'll write it up for you. And then it'll say, would you like me to write another format you might want to use on X or for, I mean, it'll offer good suggestions based on, your history with it. And within the last month, they started allowing you to create uh, pages that you can publish and go live that can rank on Copilot. So it's
Hmm,
now can be used
interesting.
as a sort of a parasite kind of
Right, right, right. Now,
also.
when you're doing that on Copilot, because this is, I've heard different people kind of talk about different things around this as well. Are you finding that things are ranking easier or more frequently on Bing than on Google, or are they similar?
Um, given a search in both, what I've found is if you have a Copilot page, um, generally it's there's competition. You're going to have to build some links to it, but it may be 1 to 3 spots higher on Bing than on Google.
Mm,
It's not a big difference, but they do
mhm.
seem to favor it. And their AI overview, if you will, on Bing is actually Copilot overview.
Right.
But
Yeah. Well,
so
that's what I knew. That. How about
yeah,
indexing? I know I was just talking, I don't know, last week or so with Craig and Craig Campbell, and we were just talking about different content writing tools. I don't know if you were like me, back in, I don't know, 22 or whenever, all of a sudden, all of these AI content tools were coming around, Neuron Writer, Koala, Phrase, was strong. And I think I probably owned everything. I still do. ScaleNet is one that I'll still reach out to every once in a while. But I was talking with Craig about this, and he was always a big user of Koala. And then he's like, "Yeah, I kind of stepped away from it because I've been having a hard time. None of the stuff is indexing." Do you find issues with that? Like if you're creating something in Copilot, are you finding it difficult to index? Or do you do some
I'm
trick? I know you got tricks. You pull out little things. You're like the little MacGyver of
I'm not.
SEO, I
I
think.
don't find it difficult to index a whole lot. Um, and well, Carolyn, uh,
Holzman. Uh-huh.
I can reach out to Carolyn if I do have any indexing issues. But no, I do have my own indexer, but if you just if you have a YouTube channel, and if you don't, they're free. Um, you can put up a YouTube video that you don't have to show your face or don't have to show anything. Actually, you could conceivably just have a blank image. But in the description of it, you can put links, and they're going to get crawled. So
Simple as that.
you know, they may not get indexed, but they'll get crawled.
Yeah.
And if like with a Copilot page, for instance, if the odds are you are building it for some link juice to something else, as long as it's crawled, that's all you need. You know,
Right,
so
right. That's always
the
a hard
ranks
thing,
great.
I think, for people to, I have this conversation all the time because people are like, we'll do a press release for them and they're expecting to have 100%, of these links indexed. And so I'm always trying to explain, well, theoretically, we try to get a good fair number of those things indexed, but I don't think out of practice, Google is going to index every single. I mean, we'll do a press release, it'll get 700 news sites. Google's not going to index every single news site that
Certainly not every single copy of the same article,
no. Now we
right?
generally see a pretty good success of 60 to 70%. That's kind of our typical indexation, because we do some stuff on the back end to like really try to press that. Um, and I think that that's pretty decent. But people, I always have this conversation with folks about indexing, and I try to talk to them about crawl, and almost 99% of these things, meaning of the news sites, gets crawled. But and trying to like, here's the importance of crawl versus index. I love your interpretation. So if somebody is like, well, Terry, why does it matter if they get crawled? What's the difference? Don't you want it indexed?
Yeah, and there are things you can put out there. If you put out straight something you got straight out of ChatGPT, I'm picking on ChatGPT, but if you grab something you got straight out of there, don't check it, don't do anything, just put it up, and it gets crawled with links to a property of yours, you get that link juice.
Right,
You may not want people to see that
right,
article. It may be crappy, maybe poorly written. It may look like a robot wrote it. But you still get the links, in which case maybe you don't want it
right,
indexed. You just rather have Google check it out, follow the links, but not bother showing it to
right,
anybody else.
right.
And in that case, I was telling somebody the other day on my biweekly webinar, a dozen so-so articles are more powerful than one great one. You're still going to get the link juice, but you're going to get it from a variety of
Right.
places. And the odds are you weren't going to rank all of those. With single so-so articles, you're not going to be ranking all those articles
Yeah,
unless you optimize them all and link to them because there's competition and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Um, Curiosity as well. I know you have an indexer that you use, and I think I've used it a couple of times. I probably still have some tokens on account there. What do you do anything? So you mentioned kind of the little trick with YouTube, putting the links in the description to get them crawled. Do you do anything else? Any other kind of hack that you use for crawling? You're always so great about doing stuff that is like either very low cost or no cost at all. So you must run like the best margins in your agency, because I don't know that you really ever do you ever pay for a tool? Because you usually come and like figure out like I can do that for free on by doing this and this. You did mention Quora, so I
Um,
know then you got to pay for Quora. So
yeah, I pay for Quora. I use Zista regularly uh, for reporting more than anything else, but it also you can write good things with it and check things. check backlinks and
Hmm.
rankings and stuff like that. Um, I pay for Copilot. I pay for Gemini. Um, what I pay for with the Gemini, which is a Google
Right.
ecosphere, I pay for the Gmail upgrade,
Okay.
and that includes then that Pro
Right.
Gemini. So, um, so before there was a Gemini, I was paying the same because I was paying for that upgrade of Gmail. And I do like Gemini's deep research, but there's so many tools out there that you don't have to pay for, especially AI
Right.
now. Um, from Stanford University, Storm is a great deep research tool that gives you articles that look like they came from Wikipedia with all
What
these
is that? Storm? Is that what
sources
it's called?
in line. Storm, yep, from Stanford University, and it's an amazing tool.
I got to go look this
You
up.
can, you know,
Storm. Storm. Stanford Storm.
yep. And the nice thing about it, I guess if you want to call it nice, is that if you put in a keyword and say I want some information on uh, the
Huh.
power of press releases,
Uh-huh.
then it'll ask you, why do you want to look this up? And you have to tell it, well, I'm researching for an article or something. It can be as simple as that, or
Huh.
more complex if you want. But it will give you articles that have sources. I mean, sometimes hundreds of sources, and the links to the sources are inline,
Yeah.
and so you can hover over them and see the link and a brief description of that source.
Huh. Interesting. I'm gonna have
You
to
can
go.
download it as a PDF. All of this is free. You can download it as a PDF, um, and because it is AI generated, you can claim authorship if you want. I use it more as a addendum, as supplemental content, that kind of thing, because it is very well optimized
Right.
and topically covers things very well.
That is
So,
very interesting. All right, I got to go play with
um,
this thing. So that's pretty cool. I never heard of it even. That is amazing. All right. What else?
do you play with Notebook LM at all?
I have, and that thing is very fun. And I haven't. I've done a few different things with it. I know Michael Merlino really loves Notebook LM and does a lot of different things from with local search with it. Yeah, that's a fun little tool as well.
Because it's got first of all, it's got what the Discover tool, where
Yeah,
you can go in and say, I want some information on X, not necessarily X.com, but you can say, for instance, I'd like some information on um, homeowners looking for solar. What's their motivations? Can you search some forums, some
right,
groups, some social media, and it'll return some items. And so then it's doing the rest of its work from those sources. So it can't hallucinate. There's no way
right,
you get that information. You can't ask it when the Yankees last won the World Series. It doesn't know because that's not included in those sources. So there's no hallucination. You can click a button and get a mind map, which gives you a topical map of the combination of those sources, or whatever ones of them you
right,
add.
right,
You can click a button and get a video walkthrough of that, a podcast. Click another button, get a podcast, and both the video and the podcast, you can give it instructions. I want you to mention my business. I want you to talk about the pros. Don't worry about the cons. Or I
right,
mean, you
right,
can shape them however you want. Uh, and then you can use any of those. The mind map especially is great for topical research. You can take that to one of those deep research tools, DeepSeek, Gemini, Deep Research, and say, given this topical map, I'd like an article on this
right,
that's
right. Yeah, that is very interesting. So that is a great way. I didn't even thought about doing that. That's a great. I need to write this down. See, I love this is why I love having folks on because I swear I always end up learning such great stuff. I didn't even thought about it taking that mind map from there. Um, wow. All right, all right. Now you got me.
Because we know how much topical coverage matters,
Yeah,
you know, um, and it breaks it down really well. And you can even, even if they're complex, to where if you were to zoom out enough to see the whole
right,
thing, it'd be tough for you to read without a magnifying
right.
glass. The AI models don't care; they can read it perfectly
Mm,
clear. It's all little ones and
right,
zeros,
right.
so they don't. It doesn't matter to them. You can give them a bunch of stuff, but so yeah, I love using those tools. Uh, I still play with cloud stuff. Always looking at what's new. More and more tools that we've been using for
Right,
years are instituting AI,
right,
and because we have also these AI tools where we can vibe man, where we can create our own versions of the tools and go, oh, I know, I like this tool, but I wish it did this. Well, create me a tool that does this and
right.
that. You know, you could even say, show it the other tool. You know, this tool does this. I want that, but then I also want to take that data and do this or something like that. And they'll create
Yeah,
tools for
yeah, yeah. Are you
you.
are
It's
you
quite
are you
impressive.
doing vibe coding? Have you gotten the bug of vibe coding? I have not dove into that tool yet, but
About 3 or 4 years ago, I started during the dark times, but I was building Chrome extensions
yeah, yeah. I
because they
remember
would
that. Yep.
rank real easily in Chrome themes. But now with tools like Lovable, lots of tools, not just Lovable, but you can say, go to it and say, I want a Chrome extension that'll um, scrape all the links on a page.
Right.
And in, you know, 10 minutes it goes, okay, here you go. Just, add it to your browser and it'll do it. I mean, it's, and then you can, if you want, you can say, make it prettier or, whatever,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. But it'll create things that work, really quickly and no coding. In the past, you had to write a little JavaScript, write some HTML, put it all together and upload it and
Yeah.
stuff. And now, it'll do it for you and give you everything, all the files you need. So,
Yeah, very cool. All right, so we've talked about a lot of Copilot, ChatGPT. You've have stayed away from this year thus far. How about some of the others? Do you use Perplexity at all?
yes.
Claude?
And perplex, yes. And those two, partly because they also offer the ability to build publishable pages
Hmm.
that you can, obviously have links in, and you may or may not care if they rank. But yeah, I like to uh, try a few different options when I'm wanting to create an article, for
Hmm.
instance, or do
Hmm.
some research on something. So I'll see what results I get from a few different ones, and uh, and sometimes take one to another and say, "Can you clean this up? Make it more of this, less that, whatever it happens to
Hmm.
be." But I have, in fact, the desktop version of Perplexity on my desktop. Um, I've used Warp, which is I have on my desktop, but I believe there's a version web-based. I think it's Warp.io, but it is a something you can use to code,
Mm,
or you can use it for research. But it can function on your terminal,
okay.
so so it can run while you're doing other
Right,
stuff
right.
if you want it to. not unlike Manus.
Yep,
I've
I've
used
used
Manus. I've got an
Manus, yeah.
account. I pay for Manus. I don't pay for Warp, but I pay for Manus. Um, and I've built websites with it. Not a
I have to
problem.
tell you, I just I wanted it to reconstruct a page on uh, our website, Manus, I'm talking about. And, I fed it some info. It was a really nice page that it spit out. And then it does it all like, hey, give me the HTML code, give me all the images, gives you just a nice, tidy package. You can just go drop this thing right in and it's done. Yeah.
I had a page for a few years for my membership group, and during one of the webinars I was doing, I said I'm going to show this to Manus and ask it to modernize it
Mhm. Mhm.
to use, what do they call it? Glass morph themes,
Okay.
um, where everything looks sort of
Right, right.
translucent, and and then can you change the color? Can you add this? Can you add? So now, if you go to terrysstrategies.org, you see the modern version. Um, Admittedly, I've still got two places on it where I've got placeholders for uh, videos that I admittedly finished about a week ago. I just haven't uploaded them to it yet, um, but it looks pretty. It looks more modern than it did. It used to be very static.
Yeah.
Um, it was pure HTML, which it still
Right,
is,
right.
but the CSS they throw in and stuff.
It is
But
so
it's a whole
isn't
new.
it just, like, so amazing how you can do like a tool like
I
Manus,
know.
like, kick something out that would take, days in order to kinda, or hours at least at minimum if you really know what you're doing.
I was gonna say, if you know what you're doing, you're still
Yeah,
gonna take
yeah,
hours to do it, and you could not know what you're doing and still come up with something beautiful, in a few hours.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's quite
yeah,
impressive, and all those tools are, and they're as bad as they're ever gonna be because they're just getting
yeah,
better.
yeah. Yeah, that's a
I can
good
see
way to
where
state it.
OpenAI
They're as bad as they're
is
ever
very,
gonna be, so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you can complain about them, and they are as bad as they'll be.
Mhm,
So they'll get better,
mhm.
and and you can go into any of those that are involved in the AI overviews, Copilot overviews, whatever you want to call them. DuckDuckGo has them. Everybody has them, and at the bottom, give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And you can say you didn't mention Randy when you talked about press releases, and leave a link so it can check them
Right,
out.
yeah,
And if a few people do that, they start picking up those. You know, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
back
you just
back
kinda
what was it? I guess early spring when Holly, um, Jesper, a few people were going. I got to get in the AI overviews. How can I do that?
right,
And AI overviews weren't as commonplace as they are now. They're more common now. Almost any question you put in now brings one up. And I thought at the time, you've seen all the commercials about the most interesting man in the world,
yeah,
the guy from and I thought at the time, and I told Holly at one point, she needed to do one for the most interesting woman in the world, make herself that. But so they were playing around along with Andre um, for the king of SEO, the queen of
right,
SEO.
right, right, yeah, yeah.
So I thought, I want to see if I can do that. I don't want to compete with them because I want to stay out of their competition. But so I went with the Sultan of SEO, and now I'm known as the Sultan of SEO on the ALMs,
Nice.
and decided to use it as a brand. So why not? But if there wasn't AI, I might not have spent the effort and the time at all on something like
Right,
that,
right.
which is really, let's face it, just a vanity uh,
Oh yeah,
competition.
yeah, yeah.
But we've all done those where there's somebody will say, "Oh, I'm having an SEO contest." When Craig had
Oh
his
yeah,
on image,
yeah, yeah,
we're all like,
yeah.
"Oh, let's jump in on this, even though we're not invited."
Yeah,
But yeah,
like I'll tell you a story. This was probably just coming out of the pandemic. It was probably in 21, I think it was. I had built out a large network of Google News sites. And we were playing around, and I'm like, I'm going to do something just to test something out. And through a little bit of a process, but I did the best looking SEO in Cleveland. And if I nailed that, if I did utilizing my network of our Google News sites, and then I don't know, within a day, I was known as the best looking SEO in Cleveland. Yeah, the most hand
it's
and the most
admittedly a low bar, but
admittedly a low bar, yes, and the most handsome SEO, yeah, in Cleveland. Yeah, so that was very fun. But yeah, you always do some of those goofy vanity kinds of things like that just for the fun of it.
and I'd seen and read about a couple of those. Matt Diggity did one, several people. So I reached out to Matt and asked him how he did it. I told him why. So I ranked the best wife in North Carolina. I ranked Carrie, my wife, as the best wife a couple
That
of
won
years
you
ago.
points. That was good.
Because generally, she doesn't see the true benefit in anything I do
I know.
work-wise, because um, it's not, it only benefits her in that, we have groceries in the refrigerator.
Right.
Okay, so, but
Yeah,
although
yeah.
she did, she did when we went to Denmark, you and I both,
Yep.
and there was, she did come along and enjoyed it. But, she didn't
So she
enjoy the
could she
conference.
can
She didn't stay at
yeah,
the conference.
she met all of the other crazies in the industry. Yeah, that was a good trip. Um, that's fun. So what kind of things are you doing? Are you into doing some automation stuff? Are you using like some AI agents, things
I
like N8N or Make or
I've used Make. I've when when Holly did her latest darkest AI
Mhm,
campground thing, it turned me off from NAN because they talked about how at various points it will break, and if you're not into it enough, the breakage is going to be the issue because then you've got to
right,
just like if you don't code and you get a message that your code isn't rendering right, going line by line through code is a pain in the ass, even if you know code. But now we have tools, of course, where you can pop stuff in and say, "What's the problem?"
right.
But I didn't want to mess with that, so I stuck with Make, which I still use and like. I did see where yesterday OpenAI had one,
I was just
so
gonna say that was the big news. I was surprised. I didn't even know that was on the horizon until I saw it announced. I'm like, wow.
I figure I will probably at least watch some videos. They've got some, um, and see if it's something that is uh, intuitive enough for me to
Right.
go to me to spend the time and effort in a learning curve. Because that's
Yeah.
always the thing. Is it something um, like I mentioned Lovable earlier? The first time I pulled up Lovable to see what the hell, I literally said to it, "I want to build a Chrome extension that will do this," and in 5 minutes it had me one, and I was like, "That just a sentence," and it was workable. I was like, "Wow."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
other tools where you go, "Oh my gosh," and you have to spend 3 weeks learning it, and maybe it's worth it, and maybe it's not. So uh, I don't mind
Are you
playing with the
using
tools.
I've never used Lovable. I'm gonna you I've got a couple of tools that I want to use internally in mind that I want to do, and I'm gonna go poke around with Lovable, see if I can accomplish that with Lovable.
And
I
until
usually
you go beside on a certain point, it's free anyway. You know, if
yeah,
you want to keep using it, add new stuff. Eventually, it says, "Whoa, you're gonna have to pay us some money." But you can use the free stuff.
yeah. Well, I've built a couple of tools that we use internally for, doing various kinds of things, but I've used Claude to help. I've described it and I said, now I want to use, build this, do it in uh, a format that I can then put in GitHub and then utilize Netlify to execute it, and so it's going to typically do it in JSON code or something like that, and then put it out there. And yeah, or uh, it's remarkable at how easy doing it that is, and similar to where I was having issues where wasn't rendering, or there was something that was wrong within the code and it wasn't necessarily identifying it, so I just copied it all, dropped it into ChatGPT and said, hey, evaluate this code, make it more efficient, figure out why it's not working the way that it should. And like, boom, there it was, dropped it back into Claude, said, hey, take a look at this. Oh, yeah, that's a great suggestion. Here you go. I see you identified the problem. Boom, fixed it. And yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you when you mentioned, asked me could I come on the show. Um, how are you getting along with Reddit?
With Reddit.
I
Reddit.
have a subreddit. I mean, I've been on Reddit. I've been banned from Reddit before,
Oh,
but you can build a new account. We all have plenty of Gmails, so that's not a big deal. But I I now have a subreddit I've had for months. I don't know, not probably not 6 months, but for several months. Um, but so I haven't been slapped again. Uh,
Reddit is so I went to a one-day conference. Joy Hawkins. She
mhm.
has a, kind of a conference or a learning organization called Local U, and they did a one-day conference. They do one live and one virtual every year, so they do two conferences. They did their live one down in Nashville in September. Flew down for that. It was great. Actually, I loved it. One day conference, boom, you're in, you're out. It was great. Um, and she got me all excited and reignited my thoughts around Reddit. Um, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna dig into Reddit. I've been playing around with it, kind of taking an approach to build up. I created a new account in Reddit so that I could use particularly for my intent, which is, kind of use it to help juice, get some traffic for our press release services. And so I'm playing around with it. I do have another account that I use for my own kind of personal fun and you know shenanigans, but I don't know. It's funny you asked this because a couple of weeks ago I was having this conversation with Holly, and she's like, I don't know, you should, you know, don't put so much time into it because I think end up being disappointed if you put a lot of effort into it and not get anything out. It's really is hard to get stuff to stick without
I
getting a
think,
hold
yeah,
down.
I think if you want to use it as a platform for a brand, it is hard, and they make it hard.
Yeah.
But if you want to use it to get clients, um, I once got a client that I had for a little over a year, but at $7,000 a month, just because I answered a lot of questions on Reddit. That they
Mm.
reached out and said, um, "We like what we've been seeing your posts where people had questions about uh, a particular niche, but SEO in a given uh, in a given topic area, and could you, so we contacted, and then we had a few meetings, Zoom meetings and stuff. They were up
Mhm.
in the Chicago area, but, and they hired me to fix some stuff they needed done on some of their pages. And they were a company that gets very little traffic. They had, I think it's 14 or 15 employees, but they bring in over $20 million a year.
Wow.
Their clients are clients like BP or
Uh,
7-Eleven, or, I
nice.
mean, huge conglomerates that have a whole bunch of little point of sale things, like the things on the gas pumps.
Right, right.
They build software to go with those.
Uh,
So when they get a new client, it's millions of dollars.
why?
Um, so they were willing to pay me because, uh, you know,
Yeah, one client's got high
right,
value. Yeah.
right. So it wasn't a matter of, if in 6 months working for them, they got a client, they were in profit from, that ROI was fantastic. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but and I've gotten a couple other clients that were, either just consulting one time, audit and consult things
Yeah.
like that, just by carrying on conversations and doing a better job, perhaps, of explaining than someone just making a snarky remark about, well, you should
Right,
build backlinks,
right.
or, backlinks are worthless. You need to look at the intent, or just build something that people will link to. Stuff like comments like that don't get anywhere. Whereas if you can, be more, appear to be more understanding and willing to explain things,
Yeah,
I think you can get, because I get asked questions a lot. I get
right,
messages from people about responses I've made. So, whereas my own subreddit gets a comment every now and then, but those other places, you can go and put responses to questions,
right, right.
and with no link, um, but come back in a couple weeks and edit it, and put in a link after the
Yeah.
moderators have all seen it, gone away. Um,
Oh,
or you
you
can
will
put
go
just,
back. You'll go back to a
yeah,
few weeks later,
not unlike
and
I do
then
with Medium. Get the
ah,
article out there, get it approved, whatever process it has to go through, and then come in and change it to where you had said you should talk to Randy, the news guy. No
right,
link, just to mention. Um, and they go, oh, okay. So if they let that go through, then you come back in a couple weeks later and you highlight that, make that a link, kind
link.
of. So you can get that anchor text in your answer without linking it,
Yeah,
knowing later, assuming it, like I said, assuming the moderators go, looks good to us,
right,
or don't
right.
look at it at all. You'll never know
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
unless they
yeah,
say something
yeah.
accurate. But
Well, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. I had not heard that little tidbit for Reddit, but that is a great idea though. I'm gonna put that into practice. Just in thinking about some of the stuff that I've done over the last month. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and see if I can do something like that. Uh, nice, nice. How about right now, and as well, just because as we were talking about OpenAI dropping, their agent builder, they also just within the last week, dropped a new version of Sora 2, doing video creation. And like so many of the people that we know in Facebook and in the industry, I know I there's a handful of people that just went like all in and creating all different kinds of AI generated videos. Are you in that sport as well? Are you doing some AI generated video content, whether with Sora or
I've played
VO or
I played with it a little, played with VO a little bit. And there is one called something media, and I can't remember the name of it. Um, but you can give it a prompt and get a 5 to 7, even 12-minute video. I was like, wow. Um, None of this 4 seconds,
Yeah,
and then you got to do another 4 second one and another. Um, but again, they're as bad as they're going to get. They just keep getting
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Um, so it most of the image tools now have the ability to turn them into video.
yeah.
Uh, and after VO and Sora 2, they're just going to get better because they're going to say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
you know," and that's one advantage to OpenAI coming out with this new agentic builder. That means Manus, Lovable, Firebase, all those have got to go. Time to step
yeah,
up.
yeah.
You know, so this arms
It
race
really
is
is.
benefiting.
That's a good way to state it. It really is an arms race. I mean, like these guys do this, and it pushes, somebody else to do something that's. I mean, it's the amazing aspect about technology, that it it and why it advances so quickly right now is because so many people can utilize each other's tools to like push their tool to the next level. It is crazy.
And I told somebody the other day, a buddy of mine I went to college with at Ohio State. Um, he posted on Facebook with all these AI writers and AI tools out there. Um, are we going to have any more great playwrights? Are we going to have any more? And I wrote to him and I said, yes, we are, because look at all the mediocre stuff
I
out
know.
there that humans have written. Now the amount of poorly written stuff by humans and the great stuff, um, you can see mirrored, but multiplication of it with AI. There's going to be a lot of AI crap, but there'll be some really good
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
coming out. And he said, well, if Shakespeare, when he was younger, if there was AI writing all these plays, would he have even become a playwright? Would he maybe say, I'm just going to be a blacksmith or whatever? I said, no, no, no. We're in a place where anybody can write a
yeah,
play. Anybody can get published. And Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote Raisin in the Sun, said, the world needs to hear what you have to say. So write and write
yeah,
and
yeah,
write and write. We can publish. All we need is a
yeah,
keyboard
yeah,
or the two thumbs, and you can tell the world what you think of
yeah.
something, good or bad, unfortunately. But you can also tell
Yep,
stories.
yep.
You know, put down those stories that grandma told you that could be lost
Right,
if you
right,
wait until you're dead and try
right.
to publish them. You
Yeah,
can't.
I think actually in the
So,
advent and the use of AI will just
and
enable
the internet.
people.
So tell those stories. Tell your family
Yeah,
stories, stories you've thought about, even stories you remember that turns out may have been written by someone else. I remember things like my dad would say that I'd find out years later he was quoting someone. You know that I didn't know he was quoting someone. I thought he came up with this little ditty or something. You know. Um, But it wouldn't have mattered if he'd have said, "No, that's from so and so." I don't care. You know,
yeah. I kind of think that'll make it'll enable people to write more than what they've ever done before. They'll use the AI tools. They may have an idea, or like what you're describing, like they want to tell the story about something, family history or tradition, or something, and they'll use the AI to help them craft it. They'll edit it, they'll mold it and make it theirs, put their voice, their touch on it, and I think we'll just see more kind of interesting content being developed along those lines through that process. I think we're very much still in the era of we have these AI tools. We're trying to figure out how to use them. And I think we'll move from the idea of like, okay, use AI tools to replace people or to replace their efforts. And I think we'll move from that to how do we use these tools to enhance what we're doing, and how we as humans are unique. How can I use an AI tool to help enhance that, to make it even that much better?
Yeah, and with these video tools, you can make stories. Whether you Gemini has Storybook, and it'll create a picture book with words. It'll read
Right.
it to you too if you want. Um, and I showed that to a buddy of mine who doesn't know anything about SEO or AI tools, and he made one with his for his granddaughter, who's a couple years old, of him and his wife taking their granddaughter to the zoo, and it had animals and little storybook, and stuff, and
Yeah.
she can
Yeah.
then so people will find that they can tell their stories, whether
Yeah.
by video, by audio, um, text. It's just it's just going to be. I, we're in the infancy still of AI.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's even gotten to its terrible twos where we're going to be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's all porn or whatever. But but it will continue to grow up and faster than we do. But
Yeah.
but that's a benefit. That arms race helps only us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and people are doing such great stuff with, with it right now. Robbie Rizik. Yeah. So he put together kind of an AI, video generation course. And he did some, one for me. I thought it was great. We used it. I did a bunch of ads with it. Great results. I bought his course, had one of the people on my team go through it. I'm like, hey, learn this, because she does all of our graphics. She edits my videos. So she knows CapCut. That's what she uses. She, knows all of this stuff. And I'm like, now let's create some of our own videos. And I'm like, wow, this is just fun, stunning, just fun stuff to do. I'm going to share one. So that was kind of my lead in as well. I'm going to share one that we did. So
Cool.
let me go find this thing here. I'll put us down here. Here we are. All right. Hopefully the sound will come through. I'm not sure I did this right, but we'll watch this.
I'm not hearing the sound. Looks good
You're
because it
not
has a
hearing the sound? Ah,
no.
how can I do? Uh, so couldn't hear the sound, huh? I think maybe it was the way that I shared the screen. But anyway, well,
Well,
even if
two.
you couldn't hear the sound, you could kind of see it anyway, the whole thing. But 100% AI. I gave her like, here's the story, here's the concept. I think this will be kind of fun. And then, she put it in, utilizing the system, the prompts. That, all of that was developed using Vio as the generator engine behind it. And yeah, so amazing, so fun to be able to like create stuff like that. But we're utilizing that just to create ads. So I'm not going to use it for, like my own like social media, push or any of that stuff, but more for ad generation, to create kind of some interesting fun ads to engage and pull people in. So that's
I
amazing.
create. I use Make to create um, podcast stories
Yep.
for clients, um, and you know, create an intro and an outro, and the, the script, and then OpenAI um, has voices, and it'll you can associate which voices and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just amazing what we can do now. That
Yeah.
before the dark times, this is not something you could do. But people had a lot of and developers had a lot of time um, you know, sitting at home on
Yeah.
their computers,
Yeah.
instead of, hitting all the Silicon
Yeah.
Valley bars or whatever they might normally do.
I have a
So,
question for you, because you generally kind of know all of kind of um, the old secrets and have utilized many of the tactics over the years. I, there's some conversation I see it happening, out in social media posts, people talking about, the stuff that we used to do back in 2010. Now it's working again. Or
a lot of it never went away. They just people
yeah,
quit using it, thinking it was going to get them penalized. You know,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
and there's you can still build a page like Kyle built, and some of them are still out there and ranking page one that are gibberish. His was lorem ipsum, but I've seen them in random alpha. So long as the right phrases are in the right places, um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
the algorithm still looks at ones and zeros. That's all it
Yep,
sees, ones and zeros.
yep, yep.
So if you put those in the right places, they think this is definitely relevant. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, you mentioned Quora, and Ted Kabitis, who's the founder of Quora and behind it. Um, he has a great presentation. You just mentioned about being sure the right information or the right phrases are on the right place on the page. It's gonna, it's gonna work, and that's so true. So true. Regardless of whatever else is on the page, you can if you got that going for it in the right stuff in the right spot, you will rank.
and if you Google over the years, one thing that has changed is there's more value now to engagement than there used to be.
Yeah.
Because used to be everybody was on dial up, and so you didn't make any 10-minute videos
Right.
because
Right.
with the
Yeah.
use. But so engagement matters. So if you have a 5-minute clip of a cat playing a piano, and now with Sora or Vio, you could have it playing a waltz or something, not just banging keys, right? But people will watch it. But in the back end, you could tell Google that is all about ADA compliance, like the rest of your page, because
Right.
Google doesn't know what a waltz sounds like when a cat plays it, right? So I mean, um, and for whatever reason, I found this because of a tool I'm working on building. The computers and the software distinguish input audio from a microphone from the audio that was playing on your video. They
Hmm.
don't hear both as the same thing. Um, Audio that's played is not audio that AI hears the same as a microphone input.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something I've been wrestling with because of a tool I'm working on. But they're just going to get better. So I'm counting on
Yeah.
that if I keep telling enough of these tools, what I want you to do is listen to this, and then when I say this, you know what I mean, and it'll
Yeah.
listen to one or the other, but not hear the other. Uh,
Yeah.
so
That's interesting. That is funny. Well, listen, brother, I appreciate you jumping on. I don't know when you got anything coming up uh, here this fall or through the rest of this year you're going to or doing or early next year. I'm trying to think when might I see you again, I guess is the question.
I don't know. I was very tempted. There is a secret conference going on next week. Very tempted to go to down in Dallas, but um, but I'm not because of life. But I don't know. I don't have anything scheduled. I've thought about some stuff, but nothing scheduled yet. I will probably end up going to Lisa's virtual conference in January.
Okay.
Lisa
Yeah.
Barzell, but I'm not sure. And I just saw a mention here in the last week about the dates for spring training
Yep.
2026. So maybe, I don't know. I enjoyed spring training the last time I was there. Um, so I don't know. I did get my yearly physical was yesterday, and they want to see me again next year. So there's no projection of death between now and then.
So that's good.
Yeah, but so but I mean, still working on stuff. Playing in the clouds. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm working on a tool. Uh, but anybody, Terry's Strategies. If you want to join my membership, I've got hundreds of videos because I do a webinar at least every 2 weeks, every other
Mm.
Sunday, and those are all available in there,
Mhm.
and uh, and some of them have some really good stuff. And
Mhm.
some of them are stuff that nobody cares about now. You know, Google had a question hub, and I had to do the whole one on the question hub back when.
Yeah.
Now there's no more question hub, so some of
Yeah.
them, the world
I
will.
like how you phrase that. I like how you phrase that. Some of them's got some really good stuff. I should say that about some of my content. There's some of them are pretty good. Others, well.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There was good stuff about Question Hub, but it's doesn't matter now. It's moved.
I know it.
There's no
I know
such
it.
thing. So,
Yeah. All right,
but
man.
yeah, I'll stay out there, and we'll run into each other again, I'm
I know it.
sure.
I know it.
Oh, and
Well,
next
let's
time you see Craig or talk to Craig, um, a little Scottish joke, because I always kid him about I need closed captions when he's talking, but when the problem with Scottish people are they just aren't very healthy. Mild cold, and they have a weak cough. Weak cough, weak cough, weak cough.
a week off. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a cold, we don't take a week off for a cold. But
Yeah.
they have a
I
week
know.
off.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yes.
say a good joke, just a short version.
That's yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, brother, keep pushing forward.
You too. You too.
Carry on, and thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it, and always good to chat with you and catch up. And so, hey, next week on Hot Off the Press, I've got Steve Toth is going to join us and jump in right
Oh,
before he's got
SEO
uh,
notebook. Yep.
yeah, he's got IRL conference is coming up next week as well, actually for him. So it's a real honor for me to have him on right before his conference that he's got going. But yeah, Steve Toth with SEO Notebook. If folks, if you're not subscribed to that thing, you got to dig in. Something comes out every Tuesday, and it's always a nugget. So
You're not really into SEO if you haven't signed up
I
for
was going to
SEO.
say, if you don't know SEO Notebook, then you're not really an SEO guy. But yeah, so join us next Tuesday, 10 a.m. with Steve Toth on SEO Notebook. And again, Terry, appreciate it, man. Good to see you, and take care. We'll